first, fast, accurate with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 6.
The rivers are cresting in some cities, but we are far from done with the flooding. Dozens of roads are still closed, as well as some schools and businesses. That's right. That includes Elkhart schools. They are closed tomorrow. And now part of Crumbstown Highway in St. Joseph County is closed. We have team coverage starting with WSBT 22 Chief Meteorologist Matt Rudkin. And he joins us live along the St. Joseph River in downtown Mishawaka. Matt?
Hey guys, yeah, we've been in South Bend, now Mishawaka, just at the St. Joseph River. We got crews elsewhere. I'll step out of the way. This is a raging river, as you would expect. The good news is the water's gone down some, but still this is at record levels. And you can see near the dam there, the water is flowing exceptionally fast as it moves downstream towards South Bend. And this has been a problem that we've obviously seen for a few days now. Some of that standing water we've dealt with that began early week. A lot of that has receded, and I'm well aware that there's still a lot of standing water, but some of that has receded, and obviously it flows into the creeks and rivers, and this is the result of it. But again, trying to find some good news here, and one of it is that the waters continue to at least slowly go down, but still very dangerous to get close to it. There's been firefighters and police officers out here. A lot of people obviously want to see what's going on, since this is literally a once-in-a-lifetime event that we've seen. Mayor Pete Buttigieg said a 500-year flood. Again, we've got team coverage all over the place. Want to send it up to Berrien County and Niles, where WSBT's Cassidy Williams is at. She said it could be over a week until some of the water recedes. And Cassidy, you mentioned there's been a lot of damage to buildings as well.
Matt, the city says 50 buildings are damaged. I'm standing in front of one of them. This is the city's Dial-A-Ride building. This is the city's public transportation, and it's one of just 50. Now, not all city buildings. Some are apartments, some are businesses that have been flooded. For now, the city has moved these transportation services to the law enforcement complex if anyone needs a ride. Now, I was actually here last night around this same time when the city was building this wall of sand you can still see around this building. Clearly, the wall of sand didn't work. The river eventually crested this morning at 17.3 feet, which was record-breaking, higher than the city expected. So the sand did not hold. And the mayor said he's been getting asked a lot of questions from people about why more sandbags weren't placed elsewhere in the city, kind of closer to the river. He says the city learned back in the 1980s that when the river levels get this high, sandbags can sometimes do more harm than good.
City leaders learned that sandbags are not always an effective measure in the event of flooding, because water seeps through the bags and finer materials tend to leak through the seams.
I also asked city leaders why a state of emergency wasn't declared here like it was in other parts of our viewing area, mostly in Indiana. They said they don't know how it works in Indiana, but that here in Michigan, to declare a state of emergency, the city has to have used all of its resources, and they just didn't reach that point. But the city administrator says over the next couple of days, as they begin this cleanup, they might have to declare a state of emergency if the cleanup in Niles becomes too much to handle. Live in Niles, Cassidy Williams, WSBT 22 News.
Now back out here in St. Joseph County, obviously, again, the St. Joe River has exceeded the banks. You can see the walkway. Many of you walk your dogs here, right? The kids after school, completely covered with water. All this water, where we're at Mishawaka, is heading right towards South Bend, and that has created significant issues for the wastewater treatment plant. We'll toss it over to WSBT 22's Caitlin Kahn, and she's been covering this all day. Caitlin, earlier today, they had to shut the plant down. How are things going now?
It wasn't closed for long, just a few hours, but city leaders say the water levels on the river became so high that it flooded some of the holding tanks. Things are back up and running now, but only at a limited capacity. Leaders say any flow that can't be processed by the plant will end up back in the river, but any sewage would be diluted. Just one drop for every 500 drops of river water. Even with that in mind, some families are taking precautions tonight.
Yeah, no, we're not going to drink it. Right, yeah, and being cautious with what we're cleaning up. It doesn't seem to be sewage in most of the water, but I see water coming in through the sewer line. It seems like it's just a ton of water, so probably a lot of river water is in the sewer water as well.
Curry says even though he says he's even avoiding flushing his toilets, but even though the water in his basement is clear, he says there are other houses on the street that have murky water they believe has sewage in it. Live in South Bend, Caitlin Connon, WSBT 22 News.
First, fast, accurate with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 6.
The floodwaters are starting to recede, and that's giving us a better look at some of the devastation that is left behind. Berrien County and Niles are now under states of emergency, and a bit of good news now. South Bend just lifted its travel advisory. My co-anchor, Todd Connor, spent the day looking at the flooding damage that's out there, and Todd, Governor Eric Holcomb led a group of state leaders on 2 tours of flooding.
Jennifer, he certainly did. He said he wanted to make sure that state agencies are working with local communities to keep those communities safe. And he said that some agencies, like NDOT, they're already doing that.
We opened Michigan again, so now all 4 lanes are open. The Department of Corrections is on the ground helping with sandbagging. Department of Homeland Security, you've been here since yesterday, but we're all in.
After a stop in South Bend where he met local leaders, the governor headed to Goshen to meet with the Elkhart and Goshen mayors. He toured some flooding at Rogers Park and met with city workers and volunteers and promised to help get the city back on its feet. I asked Goshen Mayor Jeremy Stutzman if he had a list of things he'd like to see from the state.
We're just now trying to discover what we don't know yet. So we're looking, we're making our list. We don't know what condition our infrastructure is in at this point, so we're going to be assessing all that.
And speaking of assessment, that's part of the reason that the governor wanted to come here as well. He wanted to assess the damage. He wanted to see the flooding firsthand, and he got a chance to do that in a couple of brief tours here today, one at IUSB where we are now and another in Goshen. But it will take some time to assess the entire damage because the water will need to go down quite a bit for them to do that. Speaking of the water going down, it is starting to recede in many places, though in Berrien County, they did just declare a state of emergency today. WSBT 22's Jesse Schultz is live in Berrien Springs. And Jesse, 60 people are homeless as of right now, is that right?
Yeah, that is right. People here at River Springs Estate had to evacuate on Wednesday night. I'm about as far into the estate as the Berrien County Sheriff's deputy will let me be. But even just looking right beside me, you can see that this field, which now looks like a lake, is just evidence of just how much water this area received. Since I've been here, the U.S. Coast Guard has flown by in a helicopter several times. Coast Guard officials say they've been assessing the damage in Berrien County. Many of the people in River Springs turned to family and friends for shelter, but others went to the Red Cross. The organization set up a shelter at the Berrien Springs Middle School gym. Many I spoke to say they had to leave so fast they could only grab a few personal belongings, but some are seeing the good in a bad situation.
Really, everybody got out and nobody was hurt, so the only thing people are really going to be worried about now is losing what they could replace easily.
Our community has been outstanding with bringing in food, clothes, items for the kids to play with. So, you know, it's been a total community effort.
The Berrien County Sheriff's Department is letting a few people go in and grab some personal belongings. I also saw animal control here reuniting people with their missing animals. One town leader says it's great to see the community banding together, but he says the true test and when they're going to need all the help that they can get is when all of this water recedes and the cleanup really starts. I also spoke to the manager of these estates. She says there's 180 families that are displaced here, and based on her early estimate, she thinks about half of these homes are damaged beyond repair. I'm live in Berrien County. Jesse Schultz, WSBT 22 News.
Oh, a lot of people affected by all of this flooding, Jesse. Thank you. And of course, it's not just homes, but businesses as well. Lots of businesses on both sides of the state line closing down and now hoping to reopen soon. In Goshen, Kroger sent engineers in to inspect the store on Chicago Avenue. The water was inside the store. This is not far from where the governor was today. Crews are inspecting the building and cleaning up the debris. They will throw away anything that is contaminated or damaged, they assure you of that. The store will remain closed for now, but Kroger is sending a mobile pharmacy to restore prescription service, and the fuel center will also reopen within the next week. But we're not out of the woods yet, at least as far as the rain is concerned. Chief Meteorologist Matt Rudkin is talking about more rain heading our way, right, Matt?
More rain, yep, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. I want to continue to update you on river levels. I know many of you are still looking for this information. From the National Weather Service, these are river forecasts. The blue line's what happened. This purple line is what will happen, at least forecast. And the pink area here is major flood. That's when it's over its banks, creating issues. And notice, it doesn't start to subside into a minor or moderate flood stage until Sunday night and into Monday. We'll make our way to the Kankakee River. Again, it did crest and it continues to pretty much flatline, but eventually is forecast to go down by later in on the weekend. St. Joseph River obviously impacting Elkhart, St. Joseph, and Berrien counties. Let's look at 3 cities. This is downtown South Bend. Record crest at 12.7 feet. It is forecast to go down, but it's going to take time. That's Tuesday or Wednesday next week before it's in moderate flood stage. This is in Niles. Notice again, record crest of 17 feet. It is continued to forecast to go down to a minor flood stage by about Tuesday or Wednesday next week. And this is in Elkhart, much of the same, forecast to go down, but it's going to take even longer out that way. We'll make our way down into our southern counties as we head to the Tippecanoe River, where you've seen significant issues in not just Winnemac, but also in Fulton County and Kosciuszko counties with a river that's obviously at its capacity for holding water. You'll notice this river, at least in Winnemac, is forecast to actually continue to worsen, eventually cresting by about Saturday afternoon or early Sunday. So the flooding will get worse there before it gets better. The last river I want to show you is the Elkhart River in Goshen, where obviously this created major problems. It did crest at record levels, but has already receded to a minor flood stage. So things are much better in Goshen, but now you're in the cleanup process out that way. I do have some rain, unfortunately, we got to talk about for the weekend, but there is some sunshine and dry weather to talk about as well. I'll have your forecast coming up in about 8-10 minutes.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. So a little good news for some. The St. Joseph River in Elkhart cresting and beginning to go down. That is a good thing for a lot of those people there, but still a lot of people need help. Elkhart Community Schools is reaching out to help some of those people. WSBT 22's Veronica Ortega is live in Elkhart right now with more on that story. Veronica.
Todd, first responders assisted with more than 200 evacuations and rescues since flooding began. But things have slowed down in the past 24 hours, but many people still out of their homes remain in need of help. Elkhart Central High School was one of the hardest hit areas in the city. Rice Field remains underwater, but the parking lot is no longer flooded. The donation drive started this morning. Within a few hours, they had about a quarter of a school bus filled. School and city officials are working with the Red Cross to distribute supplies collected to those in need. The most critical things needed right now are personal hygiene products and monetary donations, which can be dropped off at the Elkhart City Police Department.
It's just great to see the community coming together, the city, the school system, you know, students, teachers. We had students out the other day that were helping fill sandbags. So it's just great to see everybody come together. We hope we can continue this effort as we all work through this recovery process.
The Elkhart County Humane Society is also in need of pet supplies for those displaced pets. You can drop those donations off tonight at the boys basketball game at Northside Middle School. They will have a school bus parked there until 7:30. Live in Elkhart, Veronica Ortega, WSBT 22 News.
All right, Veronica, thank you very much. So the flooding beginning to recede, but it's going to take a few more days still. And then that's when the massive cleanup will begin. And hopefully we'll have a better assessment of how much damage was done. Governor Holcomb wanting to remind people again to document and report their damage to the appropriate state or local agency so that your area can qualify for state and federal assistance. Very important to do that, he said. That is the latest from here on the IUSB campus. Jennifer, back to you.
All of that documentation becomes very important when something like this happens. And of course, all of the cleanup is something that will be ongoing and we will be following for, unfortunately, months to come. Todd, thank you very much.
First, fast, accurate. You're watching WSBT 22 News at midday.
Good afternoon. We are starting with breaking news right now. We have confirmed 3 children are from the same family, all dead, hit by a truck while trying to get on their school bus this morning. These children are twin 6-year-old brothers and a 9-year-old sister. This all happened on State Road 25 north of Rochester. You're looking at the truck right there. WSBT 22's Caitlin Connon is live in Rochester right now. Caitlin, such a horrible scene. The officers have closed this road, had in fact, since the accident happened about 7:15 this morning.
Bob, just like you said, this has been a busy scene all morning. If you look here behind me, you can see the school bus as well as the pickup truck that was involved in that accident. And you can also see dozens of officers who have been here for hours. A police helicopter actually just left the scene. All of those officers trying to figure out just what led up to those 3 children being hit and killed. Sergeant Tony Slocum with the Indiana State Police says 4 kids were crossing the road to get on their school bus, which was headed north. He says the bus had flashing lights on and the stop arm extended, and that's when a woman driving south in a pickup truck hit the children. One of the children was airlifted to a Fort Wayne hospital and the other 3 died at the scene. Their father confirmed they are his children.
I just can't imagine that pain. I haven't seen troopers cry in a long time, but I saw that today. Our heart just breaks for him and his family, and it's just a terrible situation we're having to deal with. But we'll do the best we can, and our prayers go out to those family members.
Slocum says the driver of that pickup is cooperating with police, but I spoke to a neighbor on this road who says this road is dangerous. She's had dogs hit here on this road. I'll tell you what she'd like to see done about this road, IN-25, tonight at 4 o'clock. Live in Rochester, Caitlin Connon, WSBT 22 News.
All right, Caitlin, thanks very much. And continuing our team coverage, WSBT 22's Brooke Daniel is at Mentone Elementary right now. Brooke, 3 of the victims were students there.
Yes, people have been coming in and out of this school all morning. One of the preachers that just left the building that declined to go on camera told me he had spent his morning counseling grieving students in this building. The 2 twin brothers, the 6-year-old boys and the 9-year-old sister, all attended school here. Now, the school officials have been told by people leaving the building, the superintendent and another clergy member are at this elementary right now. We spoke with a neighbor that runs a daycare beside the school, and she also has grandchildren that attend here.
Devastated, and I've lost a child, so I can't even imagine what these families are going to be going through. It's just heartbreaking. And it's scary. You know what? My grandchildren and none of these children ride the bus, but what if it was them, you know? It just makes you stop and think.
Now, school officials released a statement. They declined to go on camera, but released a statement earlier today. The statement saying, "We have deployed all school counselors to meet the emotional needs of staff, students, and parents." Now, they also continued in that statement to ask for prayers for the family involved, the students, the teachers, and everyone in the community. Live in Mentone, Brooke O'Daniel, WSBT 22 News.
And again, along with these 3 children, another 11-year-old unrelated to those 3 children has been airlifted to a Fort Wayne hospital, remains there in critical condition. Stay with WSBT 22 News for continuing coverage of this morning's deadly bus stop crash. We will have updates throughout the course of the afternoon on our website, on our social media, as well as live team coverage beginning WSBT 22 first at 4.
You want to get to more now on that breaking news that we brought to you at the top of the newscast. A small Fulton County town is shaken after 3 young children were killed trying to get on their school bus. A 4th child was seriously hurt. 6-year-old twin boys Xavier and Mason Engel and their 9-year-old sister Olivia Stahl were hit by a pickup truck. WSBT 22's Caitlin Connon is live along State Road 25 north of Rochester right now. Caitlin, how is the boy who was hurt in that crash doing this afternoon?
Jennifer, last we heard he is in surgery. He was airlifted to Parkview Memorial Hospital in Fort Wayne. 11-year-old Maverick Lowe was also hit by that truck right here in front of his neighborhood. Police say all 4 of those kids were hit by 24-year-old Alyssa Shepard of Rochester. Police also tell us the school bus was stopped, had its lights on, and its crossing bar fully extended. Shepard was not arrested, and officers say she has been cooperating with the investigation. Indiana State Police troopers were here on the scene for hours today, and that investigation certainly takes its toll.
Part of us died today, too. Just like you guys and gals, we're all human beings, right? We do things like this by choice. It's our chosen profession. But that doesn't mean we don't cry, and that we don't hurt, and we don't go home and wonder what we've done with our lives and why we do what we do.
Of course, those officers aren't the only ones having a hard time with today's tragedy. I spoke to one mom whose daughter was on that school bus at the time of the crash. I'll tell you what she remembers about Xavier, Mason, Olivia tonight at 5 o'clock. Live in Fulton County, Caitlin Connon, WSBT 22 News.
I just can't imagine that pain. I haven't seen troopers cry in a long time, but I saw that today.
An unthinkable tragedy. Right now, state police are investigating after 3 children from the same family were hit and killed while trying to get on their school bus. It happened in rural Fulton County.
WSBT 22 has team coverage of the investigation into that crash. Brooke O'Daniel is live outside Mentone Elementary School, where the victims were students.
But we begin with Caitlin Connon, who is live near the scene of the crash on State Road 25. Caitlin, charges have just been filed against the driver.
24-year-old Alyssa Shepard now faces 3 counts of reckless homicide and 1 count of passing a school bus resulting in bodily injury. That crash killed 6-year-old twin brothers Mason and Xavier Engel and their 9-year-old sister Olivia Stahl. That crash also sent 11-year-old Maverick Lowe to the hospital. Here's what we do know tonight. Police say the bus was stopped with its lights and stop arm activated. The truck was coming in the opposite direction. That's when police say 24-year-old Alyssa Shepard hit the 4 children. I spoke to parents in town who are completely shaken by the crash, and one of those moms puts her daughter on the bus at the stop right before Xavier, Mason, and Olivia's.
I didn't really know them that well, but smiles on their face whenever I saw them. So they were always, you know, they were good kids. Kids are kids, and we just need to love them all and be happy for the day that we do have them.
Coming up tonight at 5:30, I'll tell you why police say even though they've cleared this scene, their job is not done. Live in Fulton County, Caitlin Connon, WSBT 22 News.
WSBT 22's Brooke O'Daniel continues our team coverage.
She's live at Mentone Elementary School, where the 3 victims went to school. And Brooke, obviously an emotional day for people there.
As you can imagine, there was a feeling of sadness when parents walked their students out of the school today. Counselors were here at the school today to help the students cope with the loss of 3 lives.
I don't know what to tell them. They've lost their friends, their kids. It's not right.
Jackie Bradley raises children that attend school at Mentone Elementary.
I have 3 other grandchildren that are best friends with the 3 that died and the 1 that was airlifted.
Her grandchildren ride the bus every single day with the students that died. In fact, they are the very next bus stop.
Everybody's upset, sick, sad, very quiet.
Judy Smith runs a daycare beside the school.
We're just devastated, and I've lost a child. So I can't even imagine what these families are going to be going through. It's just heartbreaking.
And says a loss like this makes you think about your family.
And it's scary. You know what? My grandchildren and none of these children ride the bus, but what if it was them, you know? Just makes you stop and think.
She doesn't know how she's going to explain this to the children she watches after school.
You know, it's hard enough as adults to process something like this. I mean, it's going to be impossible for children to ever be able to comprehend what this loss is going to be for them.
Jackie says this accident will have an impact on her grandchildren for years to come.
They're well loved, and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of patience, and they might have nightmares for a while.
Now, right now, officials are still declining interviews about the accident, but the school did release a statement. It focused on finding out more details about the accident and also asking for prayers for the family, the victims, teachers, and the community. Now, I spoke with a woman whose husband coached 9-year-old Olivia's softball team. Tonight at 6, I'll have more on how she's remembering this little girl. Live in Mentone, Brooke O'Daniel, WSBT 22 News.
And make sure you stay with WSBT 22 News as we bring you the very latest details on this investigation into the crash. You can always find the newest information on our website, WSBT.com.
First, fast, accurate with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 6.
New details at 6 on breaking news in Fulton County. Late this afternoon, the prosecutor's office charged 24-year-old Alyssa Shepard in a deadly accident involving kids trying to get on a school bus. She's facing 3 felony counts of reckless homicide and a misdemeanor count of driving around a school bus causing bodily injury.
The victims who died are from the same family, twin 6-year-old brothers and their 9-year-old sister. An 11-year-old boy is in the hospital tonight. This all happened this morning on State Road 25, just north of Rochester.
We begin our team coverage with WSBT 22's Caitlin Connon. And Caitlin, that community is also hoping for the recovery of another young boy.
The accident killed 6-year-old twin brothers Xavier and Mason Engel, as well as their 9-year-old sister Olivia Stahl. But it sent 11-year-old Maverick Lowe to the hospital. As this community prays for Maverick's recovery, they also have to come to terms with the loss of Xavier, Mason, and Olivia.
It was just not knowing what had happened and how everyone was for a half hour. That was terrifying.
Tamara Mejia's daughter was on that bus those children were trying to board.
I didn't really know them that well, but smiles on their face whenever I saw them. So they were always, you know, they were good kids.
Police say the kids were crossing State Road 25 to get on the bus. It had its flashing lights on and crossing bar extended. Police say that's when 24-year-old Alyssa Shepard, heading the opposite direction, hit all 4 kids with her pickup.
Kids are kids, and we just need to love them all and be happy for the day that we do have them.
Officers investigating also struggled with today's tragedy.
This is not normal, seeing 2 little boys that are twins laying there, just not normal.
Officers say Xavier, Mason, and Olivia's dad confirmed they were his kids.
I just can't imagine that pain. I haven't seen troopers cry in a long time, but I saw that today. Our heart just breaks for him and his family, and it's just a terrible situation we're having to deal with.
Slocum and Carter say they spent hours at the scene today trying to make sure they did everything right, trying to make sure they get answers for the parents whose 4 little kids were just trying to go to school.
Just because we're leaving doesn't mean we're done. What that means is we're leaving, we're just getting started.
Police told me Alyssa Shepard has been cooperating with the investigation. She now faces 3 counts of reckless homicide as well as a count of passing a school bus resulting in bodily injury. The Fulton County Jail says she is being processed into the jail right now, but we have not heard about any court dates. Live in Fulton County, Caitlin Connon, WSBT 22 News.
All right, Caitlin. WSBT 22's Brooke O'Daniel continues our team coverage tonight.
She is live at Mentone Elementary School where the kids attended class. Lots of emotion there today, Brooke.
Yes, overwhelming sadness and disbelief from the parents I spoke with today. The school brought in counselors to help the students cope with their grief. A reminder that this school now has 3 empty chairs. Mentone is a small town where everyone seems to know each other. I spoke with Jessica Thompson, her husband. He coached 9-year-old Olivia Stahl's softball team this spring. She says the little girl was a joy to be around.
She was just very sweet and loving. I don't think that I'd ever seen her frown while she was out there. Of course, we were winning most of the time, so smiles were to be had. But she was just a very caring little girl. She would come up to you and give hugs and high fives and just ask her how she's having fun, and just smiles everywhere.
Olivia is pictured here in the glasses. Jessica said, well, that the girls played all of the positions. Olivia played a lot at third base. Now, the school declined any requests today for interviews, but they did release a statement earlier today. That statement asked for prayers for the family, students, and staff. Live in Mentone, Brooke O'Daniel, WSBT 22 News.
And make sure to stay with WSBT 22 on air and online for the latest on the investigation into this morning's crash. We'll have updates throughout the night on our website and social media, and live reports tonight at 10 and 11.
Like many others, Joe O'Reilly spends weekends working in his garage. But the car he's fixing up is made of foam and PVC pipe.
I guess this has always been there. This has always just been something that I've loved to do.
He's building a Halloween costume. A life-size gecko-mobile from the kid show PJ Masks. Joe is a volunteer with Magic Wheelchair. It's a nonprofit that builds one-of-a-kind costumes.
We want people to see the costume and the kid rather than the wheelchair.
Joe's daughter Madeline showed him what a costume can do. He built a Batmobile around her wheelchair a few years ago.
Just that 20, 30 minutes that we were out, you know, she was, you know, kind of the belle of the ball. So we just want to do that for everybody. So this is going to be the front bumper.
So this year he signed up to help another little girl, 7-year-old Ella from Elkhart. They started planning in August, but just a few weeks later, instead of sculpting foam, Joe found himself planning a funeral. On September 8th, his daughter Madeline died. She was only 6 years old. She died after battling complications from a brain injury for 5 of her 6 years.
You know, she was amazing, and you know, I miss her terribly still. You know, it hasn't been that long that she's passed. We don't know how long we're going to have them, and so we just want to make sure we do the most for them that we can. I mean, whether it's in a costume is just a small thing that, you know, but it makes a big difference.
After taking a few weeks off from building, Joe got back to work, determined to finish in time for Halloween.
I kind of had this feeling of, you know, what better way to honor her than to do everything I can to get this done. Because if it was Madeline, I would do it.
He got it done, ready early, just in time for downtown South Bend's trick-or-treat night.
Are you ready for some trick-or-treating?
Ella and her family getting their first look at the finished Gecko-mobile. It got the Ella stamp of approval.
Let's get in, of course.
This one's supposed to be on the bottom.
First, Ella puts on her power suit. Then the pieces of her costume each fit perfectly around the wheelchair. There's also room for her now look-alike. It's a costume that caught everybody's attention.
This is so freeing for her to be looked at, and it's a win. You know, it's like she's the cool kid.
As Joe watched his hard work captivate downtown, he says he knows Madeline would be proud.
We had just started building it right as Madeline got sick, and I didn't think we were going to pull it off. I would have always regretted it if we didn't do it.
Regret. It's not something either family believes in.
We live each day knowing that tomorrow is not promised, and we should all live that way. It's kind of a go big or go home philosophy for us. PJ Masks for the PJ Masks. Whoa, PJ Masks!
Wow. The St. Joseph High School girls golf team is on par to set some serious school records.
It's had the best season in the history of the school. We won the NIC championship.
A lot of firsts for this team. First undefeated season and first time in history to make it to the Girls State Golf Championship.
Wow, like waking up and you're in heaven.
One of the captains, Rose Veldman, helped lead the team to their winning record.
She really didn't speak a word of English, and we didn't speak Creole, which was probably a benefit because she said she would just mimic me. I'd say, good morning. She'd go, good morning.
In 2009, the Veldman family took a trip to Haiti. They made an unplanned stop to an orphanage in a small town outside Port-au-Prince.
There's like no food anymore. Like some days in the orphanage, you would go starving, like days without eating.
That chance encounter is where they met 9-year-old Rose.
I knew it was love at first touch when people think it's love at first sight, because I hold her hand for the first time and I just like fell in love with her.
We were attracted to each other, and then we were together the whole time, and then it was really hard to say goodbye.
And when she had to leave, like I started crying and then she started crying, and it was just like a mess. The building started like shaking while we were like jumping rope. The ground started like moving, and you can see like stones popping up. The ground started breaking from underneath our feet.
A year after they met, Haiti was struck by a magnitude 7 earthquake, leaving death and destruction throughout the country.
It was so scary. I mean, like, just the worst, like, scariest moment in my life. Like, literally, I thought, oh my God, we're all gonna die.
A wall in the orphanage collapsed on Rose's legs, trapping her.
I was just like screaming, and she was screaming.
Her music teacher had also been trapped.
We started like singing like when we were underneath there to like help us ease our minds off things. Jesus, oh Jesus, what do I do so I can be saved? And like that still brings like tears to my eyes because that was the song that she like ended up on.
Rose's teacher died trapped under the rubble, desperate to survive, and now all alone. Rose sang and prayed through the night.
I was like wondering like if I was gonna make it through to the next day, because I was like, oh, there's no way I'll survive this.
She was rescued, but to save her life, both of her legs had to be amputated, and without any anesthetic.
We were panic-stricken trying to figure out what happened, and the whole time her picture was on Tom's desk, and we would talk about her every day.
In the wake of the chaos, the Veldmans heard the news that Rose had lost her legs. Less than 2 months later, the Veldmans adopted Rose.
Someone who came here with, almost no formal education, didn't speak English, had just lost her legs, had spent many years in an orphanage. She was coming here with a lot of things working against her, and she's overcome all those things. And so I think for those who know her and see what she's able to do now, she has to set a positive example.
I love her.
Rose doesn't know how to lose. She is a true fighter.
It's like really hard because when I'm like swinging like driver or any irons or anything, I have to like try and balance myself on one leg because I can't balance without the knee. So it's like really hard.
Hit it square, right back up.
Rose has turned tragedy into triumph, on and off the greens.
There's some days where there was like crying and tears and like yelling and frustrations, but it all paid off.
That's good, just like that.
And paid off it has.
That was an incredible feeling and an incredible experience just to go to state for the first time.
Rose has overcome obstacles most only see in movies.
Even though you have a disability, that's what makes you special from everybody else.
Rose has an undeniable love of the game and for life, according to her coach.
The girls love her, and yeah, she's a strong inspiration. And many years from now, when these girls are in the corporate world, when they have families, I think there'll be a strong bond amongst the team and with Rose.
Rose has never wallowed in her struggles. In fact, she says God answered her prayers.
My dad and mom, they always believed in me, and they told me that there's nothing that I can't do. Like every day they told me that, and I will always treasure that.
First, fast, accurate with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5.
A WSBT 22 weather alert now at 5. A winter storm warning in effect for many of you right now. This is the scene for most of you today. Plow trucks working around the clock to keep you safe.
Here's a live look from Berrien County and South Bend. You can see the conditions. If you do not have to go out tonight, stay in and avoid the roads.
We have live team coverage from every corner of our area. WSBT 22 has 3 meteorologists working to track this storm for you and the next system this weekend. Our team of reporters keeping an eye on the roads and have up-to-the-minute updates on the changing conditions. We will be checking in with the reporters throughout the entire newscast.
We will, but first we need to get right to WSBT 22 meteorologist Abby Wepler for an update on what's happening right now with that storm.
Right now, we're not done with it, and I'm sure you've probably noticed if you looked outside that we are not. Now, our southern counties currently getting a break, but we still have that deep shade of blue pretty much impacting the midsection of our area. Those deeper shades of blue mean that's a heavier, steadier snow. But we'll check in south first. So, for example, Fulton and even Pulaski County, a little bit of a break for you. In Warsaw, we see a lot of bright white for the most part. It's not snowing as bad for you right now, but then we go a little bit farther north. So around Plymouth, Lakeville, Elkhart, Goshen, through Sturgis, LaGrange, and even LaPorte County, those deep shades of blue. That is a pretty impressive snowfall rate. For some of you, it's up to an inch an hour. And that's why we're saying if you don't have to go anywhere tonight, maybe stay tight, because this is still stretching through Illinois into portions of Iowa. And so we still have a couple more hours where we're under a winter storm warning and still dealing with that light snow, at least throughout the early evening hours. The hour-by-hour forecast, though, is something to pay attention to. Very interesting, especially if you work third shifts on the weekend. This is important. Look what happens. By about 9 o'clock, we see it tapering off. Early overnight hours, we get a break. That's going to help those road crews catch up before we see more snow early tomorrow. So what have we seen so far? Well, right now, at latest glance, Shipshewana, 13.5 inches of snow. Buchanan, just over a foot. Niles at a foot. LaGrange, just under a foot. Mishawaka at 10 inches. Argus, though, look at that cutoff. You get to Argus, only 3 inches of snow. But South Bend set a record today, 8.8 inches of snow. And that's where we're going to throw things over to meteorologist Ed Russo, who's been in South Bend today. I mean, yeah, Ed, a record snow, and we continue to see it falling. What's going on out there right now?
Yeah, I'm actually located just north of the bypass, and that's one place the plows have been really working today. It's been a busy day for road crews trying to keep up with this heavy, widespread snow. Road crews have been working since last night around the clock, trying to clear the streets and main thoroughfares. Some of the plowing needs to be done in a very coordinated effort, though, by NDOT. Parts of the bypass today had to be cleared by a process called plow walling, and here's why.
In this situation, the biggest reason we did it here on the bypass is simply because we had so much snow packed up on those center walls from several days of big snows that there's really no place to put the snow anymore. So when we have crews coming by to do a regular plowing, there's no place to put that snow. So we came through just now and pushed all that snow off the center wall and now pushed it all the way to the far shoulder. And now that gives us plenty more storage room for when that snow continues to fall.
And so one of the biggest ways you can help road crews is by simply staying off the roads. We can't say that enough because that allows them to clear the roads. That keeps you out of the way, and that keeps you, of course, out of the way of them. And keep in mind, if you're out shoveling this stuff, it is the real heavy, wet snow. We're talking temperatures in the low 30s, so the snow easily packs. The heaviest and wettest part of this event, as far as the consistency of the snow is concerned, is happening right now. Live in South Bend, I'm WSBT 22 First Alert meteorologist Jennifer and Todd. Back to you.
All right, Ed, thank you. You know, South Bend isn't the only area just being pelted with snow.
Yeah, certainly not. WSBT 22's Caitlin Conton is live now in Niles. And Caitlin, Southwest Michigan has received quite a bit of snow as well.
Yes, and it's heavy. I want to show you how packable it is. Just like Ed said, it's heavy, it's wet, it's really good snowman making material, but that is making driving a little challenging. We've seen a lot of people slipping and sliding out there, and this heavy snow is also hard to clear. Plenty of people are working up a sweat with shovels today. Even a snow blower doesn't make a big difference. The people I spoke to said the blower is heavy and you still have to make a couple of passes to get all that snow. William McGill is using a tractor and he says clearing the snow is still hard.
ahead.
And I don't know why I'm sitting talking to you, because I've been gone 5 weeks. I just got back Sunday from a nice warm travel through Grand Canyon, Las Vegas.
Fortunately, McGill doesn't have to work today, but some people are working hard to take advantage of all of this snow. Coming up at 6, hear how they're making a profit. Live in Niles, Caitlin Connon, WSBT 22 News.
All right, Caitlin, take a look at this. This is a video of a massive 38-vehicle pileup on I-94. It happened in Galesburg, which is in Kalamazoo County. Several injuries reported, but police say all of those are minor. By the way, you can check to see if the plows are working where you live without even stepping outside with this map. MDOT's interactive website lets you see where the state and contracted plows are working. Once you open the website, click the blue icon on the left to see the snow plows on the statewide map. Click the purple icon for the snow plows. You can even see webcam shots.
I had to push my flight back first, and then the bus was late because of the snow, which was okay because we were running late as well. My car was actually stuck in the driveway. And then we got here and my flight's been delayed about an hour.
Oh, the frustrations. It's not just the roads, but this storm is canceling and delaying hundreds of flights. This is video from O'Hare in Chicago. Midway also dealing with a lot of frustrated travelers, and it's a similar situation at South Bend International Airport. Take a look. These are arrivals, and as you can see, a lot of flights are being impacted by the weather right now. Once this system moves out, we are not off the hook either. WSBT 22 Chief Meteorologist Matt Rudkin continues our First Alert team coverage right now. And Matt, you are tracking more weekend snow.
Yeah, we've got a little bit more coming this weekend. Luckily, compared to today, it won't be as bad. I want to show you. So this map is what we expect on top of what's already out there. For the rest of tonight, this will end tomorrow morning. So an additional 2 to 4 inches, basically State Road 2 area in northern Indiana to around the 12 corridor there in southwest Michigan. A little bit south of that in north, just an additional 1 to 2 inches. Again, the rest of tonight and into Saturday morning. We get a breather for the day on Saturday. Then we need to focus on the next system that will come in late Saturday night and into Sunday. With that, we're expecting a potential 2 to 5 additional inches. Again, that's on top of what's out there now and what's on top of what will fall later tonight. 1 to 2 north and south. I know those maps look similar, but the track of those systems pretty close as well. So we're talking an additional, for some of you, 3 to 6 inches of snow this weekend. Luckily, as Abby will reiterate for you coming up in her forecast, we get a breather, a big one next week with some quiet weather, but it comes with cold temperatures. She's going to talk about that. She's going to time the snowfall for you hour by hour and county by county to help you prepare for weekend. I know a lot of you are going to be out and about trying to dig out from the snow we saw today. So she'll keep you updated on that and how the rest of the weekend and next week shapes up. We'll have a forecast coming your way in about 5 minutes.
Sounds good, Matt. Thank you. You know, whether you're traveling, maybe staying home, or even if your power were to go out, remember, you can download our First Alert weather app to help you ride out this winter storm. It gives you the latest forecast, warnings, and closings right there in the palm of your hand. It's a free download in the App Store. Our First Alert team coverage is just getting started for you. We're going to be checking back in, as Matt said, with Abby in about 5 minutes.
The second government shutdown in 3 weeks has ended. President Trump has signed a bipartisan $400 billion budget agreement, ending a brief government shutdown that began just after midnight. The Senate approved the bill in the early morning hours, pushed past the deadline because of a long protest over the cost of the deal by Senator Rand Paul. The legislation sharply increases spending and the federal deficit.
It's pure, empty partisan politics where people are saying, oh, it's okay for Republicans to have debts, but it was bad for Democrats to have debts.
This agreement accomplishes getting the resources that we need to rebuild our military.
The bill is tied to a temporary 6-week agreement to allow time for the deal to be enacted. It includes increased spending for the military, domestic programs, and disaster relief. Most Democrats in the House voted against the spending bill, trying to use it as leverage to get a vote on immigration. That issue will likely be the next major showdown in Congress. After a tough week on Wall Street, here's how things ended for the week at the bell. The Dow was up 330 points. The Nasdaq closed up 97 points. Nervous investors keeping a watchful eye, though, on their money and Wall Street today. On Monday, the index plummeted almost 1,200 points, the worst point drop in history. The NASDAQ and S&P also suffered major losses, and on Thursday, the Dow suffered its second worst point drop.
Winter Olympics are officially underway. This is video from the morning's opening ceremonies. South Korea seated its presidential couple alongside Vice President Mike Pence and his wife. Also in the same box, North Korea's nominal head of state and Kim Jong-un's younger sister.
All right, still ahead, is the flu season showing any signs of slowing down? Is the Hoosier State getting any relief? Just before 6, the CDC's weekly update on the deadly flu season.
But back here at 5, LL Bean is putting its foot down. How abuse is leading it to change its famous return policy.
All right, a live look in Plymouth. What a great way to spend a snow day, right? Sledding down a hill. You don't typically see heavy accumulating snow in Plymouth like we did today. More on the way. A look ahead at that weekend forecast next.
Now, your accurate First Alert weather forecast with meteorologist Abby Wepler.
We have had some fantastic pictures coming into the newsroom today.
Yeah, you got to remember on days like this, you don't always get that heavy, wet snow. Yes, there's the side with the shoveling and the driving, but then there's the hot tub, right? And it's Friday, and for some of you, it's a 3-day weekend, and yeah, no better way to spend it than get out in the hot tub or just let your dog run around.
Why not? That looks comfortable.
It is a huge hot tub.
Yeah,
Right?
I know.
Room for all of us. Let's go.
No, Todd. We're going to talk about. Let's talk
it's
about
Friday,
the snow.
but
Come on, Abby.
All right, see, even we're having fun here. I mean, we're barreling through this storm, right? So we're almost done with this round, but we have more on the way this weekend. First Alert weather camera in Elkhart. Notice a steady snow is falling. Plows, though, have been doing a phenomenal job. Look at that. You're seeing the road being paved. However, it just keeps getting covered with snow. Traffic, not a lot of it, which is also good news for those tow truck and plow operators, of course, to get things done that they need to get done. Here we go on Storm Tracker radar. So some deep shades of blue, that's the heavy, steady snow, where at some points it can be up to an inch an hour. Then we make our way a little bit farther south. As I was saying, some of our southern cities, although you saw snow today, you didn't see the impressive foot or more like we had in some of our northern cities so far. So Fulton County, southern Kosciuszko County, even Pulaski County seeing a little bit of a break, but it's really around Lakeville, Goshen, Sturgis, even in LaGrange, Plymouth, that this heavy snow, it's just better to stay tight. I mean, to not get into a bad situation out on the roads tonight when all crews are trying to do is clear them. So if you can stay tight tonight, that would be the best advice I have for you, of course, because look what happens. We continue to look west. We still have snow. It's even that tail end lagging into Iowa. So several more hours of this, but it will taper off as the evening goes on. Winter storm warning, all of southwest Michigan, extreme northern Indiana until 7 o'clock this evening. It doesn't stop snowing at 7, but it stops snowing to the degree that keeps us under a warning. Temperatures are what made that snow, that heavy packing snow, not great to shovel, but great to see, of course, kids playing outside, making snowmen, and of course, having those snowball fights. When you have warmer air, it holds more water, and that's that heavy, wet packing snow. Right now in extreme northern Indiana, we have some low 30s in Millersburg and Napanee, 29 Goshen, 24 South Bend, and 25 in LaPorte. Typically with lake effect, it's that cold air where we have temperatures in the teens and single digits, and it's that light, fluffy snow. That's not the case with this winter storm. Winds have helped us out a lot today. It hasn't pushed the snow back into the roads when the plows have moved through. It's been a relatively light wind, and I expect that to continue tonight as well. So your hour-by-hour forecast, notice the next couple of hours, we still expect the snow. We do see a brief lull late tonight through the early overnight hours before it picks back up for a couple of hours early tomorrow morning. The bulk of Saturday, I think you'll be happy to know, is quiet when we're talking about snow. So Futurecast 7 o'clock, watch what happens. We still have some light snow moving through, but this is late and early overnight hours. Notice a little bit of a lull. Now Futurecast doesn't pick back up on it, but we are seeing some trends between about 4 and 8 a.m. that a light band of snow moves through, and then watch it Saturday. For the most part, Saturday is a day that you can at least continue to snow blow or let the kids play outside, maybe get around and run some errands if you need to, because Saturday, the bulk of the day is quiet. Of the 2 days trying to get things done, tomorrow is the day. Sunday, guess what? we add more snow to this. It's pretty much going to snow all day on Sunday. So what are we expecting tonight through Saturday? Remember, we get a couple-hour break, but we still expect tomorrow morning for a few hours. We're going to see some snow. 2 to 4 inches right about here, the middle section, and then you can see 1 to 2 for our most northern and southern counties. Okay, so the bulk of Saturday, once again, is quiet. Saturday evening is quiet. We get to Sunday. Sunday, we add more snow. What are we expecting on Sunday? This is late Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, about 2 to 5 additional inches, 1 to 2 additional inches. So although it's not as big for some of us that we saw, of course, today, I still expect some of us could see 3 to 6 inches, 3 to 7 inches of fresh snow before the weekend is over. Snow continues tonight, 2 to 4 inches on average, lows in the 20s. Tomorrow, we start with that chance of snow, but the bulk of the day is quiet and a high of 27. Tomorrow evening is also quiet. It's really late Saturday through Sunday that snow continues. It is cold Monday morning because we're clearing out with fresh snow. Those temperatures drop with a couple of hours of clear skies at night. Monday's cold, Tuesday's cold, Wednesday gets a little bit warmer, but I think what you're really going to notice, it is quiet early next week, which I think after this weekend, a lot of people will be ready for.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, Abby, thank you. It was a fun day in the snow for many of your kids. As you've seen, WSBT 22's Veronica Ortega is back after the break with a look at how some of you made the most of the day.
First, to cover breaking news with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. Your accurate first alert weather forecast with meteorologist Abby Wepler. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5.
All right, here is a live look at Silver Beach in St. Joseph. Not a day to be at the lake. You can't even see any sand with all of that snow. A little chilly there for sure.
Yes.
But the weather is bringing a lot of fun winter activities for families.
It sure is. It's really the perfect weather for building snowmen, going tubing, getting outside and enjoying it. WSBT 22's Veronica Ortega joins us. Veronica, you found some people really taking advantage of the snow day.
Jennifer, school's out, and luckily the temperature was just right for some winter fun. I visited George Wilson Park, where I found families tubing. The journey up the steep hill was a bit of a challenge, but worth it for Stephanie Orta and her family. This was their first time ever tubing, and she says the kids absolutely loved it. Ashley Powers and her family are experts at tubing. Not only did they go as children, but now her son Hendrik gets to enjoy the fun. His favorite part? Going down the hill face first and getting sprayed in the face with snow. Both families say they made the right choice, and today was the perfect opportunity to spend time together as a family.
Oh, we decided we wanted to come out in tubing and enjoy some of the warm weather since it's not sub-zero for once when we have snow.
It's fun both ways. I mean, I knew the kids would enjoy it because I enjoyed it as a kid, so, you know, I figured we'd try it as a family.
Both families had a lot of fun, and they told me after they were done, the plan was to go home, drink some hot chocolate, and watch movies together. Jennifer and Todd?
Sounds good, Veronica, thank you. You know, with all the weather, you may have forgotten Valentine's Day is just a few days away. We have some pretty unique ideas to warm your partner's heart in these cold temperatures.
You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5.
We are getting more snow today, tomorrow, and Sunday than we have normally gotten in the last 2 winters in any one period of time.
And earlier we showed you how the weather is impacting Chicago's airports. Here's a live look at the skyline right now. People there are also dealing with a lot of snow and dangerous roads.
Crews there also working to keep the sidewalks clear. This is a picture of a man shoveling along the Magnificent Mile. Not the best day for shopping, though. And speaking of shopping, Valentine's Day just around the corner. And if you're a last-minute shopper, this snow really not helping much.
No, lucky for you, though, we found some easy last-minute gift ideas. First up, Farm Girl Flowers offers a fresh take on the classic bouquet. You plug in your zip code and it'll let you choose from their seasonal lineup of fresh farm-grown flowers and other goodies. Arrangements start at $48.
But if you're more of a flowers and chocolates gift giver, Bouquet Bar lets you send both in one box. Choose from their selection or design your own. You can also add bath essentials and accessories. Boxes start at $49. LL Bean's generous return policy is changing. The company will now accept returns for any reason for only 1 year with proof of purchase. Before, it had a lifetime return guarantee. LL Bean says the change is due to a growing number of customers expecting refunds for heavily worn products used over many years. Customers were wanting refunds for products that have been purchased through third parties, such as yard sales.
All right, here's another live look outside. This is Mishawaka right now. Matt is back after the break with an update on what's happening right now, coming up in your forecast.